Welcome to the show today. Now, looking ahead a little, I just want to give you the heads up about this tomorrow and Wednesday. I'm going to show you some highlights of that Charleston Savannah trip that I just took with our holiday vacations travelers. Some really lovely highlights of the charm and the history of those places. Great group who came along with this as well. Civil War history in the South. And all of that, by the way, ties in with my first guest today, because we toured Fort Sumter in Charleston. And that's where the first shots of the Civil War were fired 161 years ago. Many of those firearms of that era are right here in the Quad Cities for purchase. And Seth Isaacson from the Rock Island Auction Company is here to share this amazing collection that you guys have. You say there are a lot of weapons from that era that keep coming in.
Yes, we have auctions throughout the year, and pretty much all of our auctions are going to feature at least some Civil War firearms. Our upcoming May 13th, 14th, and 15th premier firearms auction is one of the big ones, and so that one's going to have literally hundreds of firearms related to the American Civil War. Everything from something relatively common and affordable that most people could afford to some of the most expensive and finest Civil War firearms that exist. So,
wow. So the auction company, I think I misspoke, said it's not purchase, it's all auction.
Yeah.
And you guys see some big money roll in through there, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, we did.
What's one that you give me an example?
Just last December, we sold a whole set of arms owned by Napoleon Bonaparte that they brought, let's see, $2,875,000.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, as we look at these photos, I mean, that's mind-blowing, isn't it? This is a place where you can go in and look around.
Yes.
Yes. When do you open, Seth? Is this a daily thing?
So the next auction is May 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Okay.
Before our auctions, we have what's called Preview Day. So you can actually walk into the facility on Preview Day, which will be May 12th. Mm-hmm. And you can walk around and you can see absolutely everything that's in the auction. You can handle it, you can inspect most of it and take a look at it. So it's like a museum, but that you can actually get hands-on with. Okay. And you can buy it.
Yeah, and you can buy it. What are we looking at here?
So up top you've got probably a cavalry sword. Doesn't show the whole thing, but the main rifle there is a Henry lever-action rifle. One of the most advanced firearms of the American Civil War, a really rare piece. Those bring quite a bit of money. And then down below you've got a Colt 1860 Army. That would have been one of the standard issue Union sidearms during the American Civil War. This
is so interesting to me, Seth, because I'm wondering how people come to know about these things. I mean, you're an historian, trained in that way and educated in that. Were you always interested in the munitions of the past?
Yeah, so in college I mostly studied the American fur trade. And so I knew a lot about like American muzzleloading firearms, and that kind of comes up right to the American Revolution. Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, but you find a lot of people are fascinated by this. Is the reason that they fetch such big bucks, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Just like people collect cars or stamps or antique coins, people collect antique firearms. Mm-hmm. And the Civil War is really rich with firearms because you have a really wide array of models. And you've got, the guns of the South. That's a whole array of, it looks like, Colt Dragoon revolvers, so there's a whole series of variations in those. So a collector might want an example of each one, and so that gives them a lot of choices.
So a cannon as well.
Yes, and there's actually people that are still shooting original Civil War cannons too.
For reenactments. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the only reason, right?
No, they actually have competitions with them too, where they actually shoot at targets from like 200 yards with cannons.
Wow, see, this is it's a whole little niche, isn't it, mm-hmm. of folks. And are most of them from here who show up, or who comes to the auctions?
We get people from all over the world. A lot of the people that attend are relatively local. We get a lot of people out of Texas, which has obviously got a big gun culture. But we get people from across the country. People fly in, and then we have people that bid by phone or bid on our website. So, I mean, it's definitely a global thing.
So once people have these collections, do they, how do they end up with you again sometimes?
It depends. Sometimes you have somebody who's a collector that passes on, and their family might bring their collection to us to consign and sell, or they might have that arranged in advance. Or, you'll get people that have, let's say they're collecting like those Colt Dragoon revolvers we looked at before. They might have 3 or 4 examples, and they want to keep their best one and sell a couple off, or they might change what they're interested in, and maybe now they want to collect Napoleonic War stuff, and they might sell off their Civil War collection to finance something new.
Wow, that's a whole world, isn't it? Yeah. And so have you gotten into it personally, or you just observe it as the, what is your place at the auction? You're the historian.
Yeah, I'm the lead historian there. I'm part of the descriptions team, part of the people that write the catalog.
Okay. So do people ever argue with you about it?
Yes.
right?
Yeah, some people will come in and they'll have something that they think is one thing and we'll find out it's another. But on the flip side of that, you'll have people that have stuff that they don't know is as good as it is, and we look at it and find out, oh wow, this is something really special. You get both for sure, and a lot of collectors definitely know what they're doing and they know exactly what they have. So.
Do any of those things still fire?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
almost all of them?
Most of them still function. Most people aren't going to fire a highly, like, we have Ulysses S. Grant's revolvers in the next sale.
I know it.
Those
Wow.
I highly doubt somebody's going to fire, but there are people that reenact that shoot original Civil War era firearms. I have a rifle that's from like the 1840s that I've actually shot a few times. And
Wow.
yeah.
Well, it's living history that's still around. The premier auction, Seth mentioned, you know, is the 13th, 14th, and 15th. That's next week, not this weekend coming up.
Yep.
But the next week at the Rock Island Auction Company. And again, you can go there. Give me the address.
I don't actually know the address off the top of my head. It's in the Rock Island Business Park down Andalusia Road in like off of Milan.
So it's a place where you could go. You can, like you said, it's like a museum that you can look at. And then if you want to go to the auction, if this is your thing, there it is, right here in the Quad Cities.
Yep.
Seth, that's an interesting thing you do for a living.
Yeah, it's fascinating every single day.
I'll bet. Good seeing you today.
Thank you, Seth.